Okay, so tell me your results once we started working together and once you started implementing what I taught you for day game.
So, okay, so I would say there was a couple different levels of results for me. And in the beginning, it was really about getting my confidence back, like feeling comfortable in my own skin about talking to women, like being okay with approaching and actually meaning it, to some degree, really just liking myself in that way. Walking in the door, I remember when we first talked, I think you said to me, like, you look really sad or whatever, right? So I was really sad a lot of the time. I'd been divorced for something like 5 years. In that time, been super uncomfortable with the idea of being with anybody else and not happy with myself. Like, at some level, it was like, well, life isn't going the way it was supposed to go. So I missed it. I missed out. And that's it. There's not much I can do about it. Even if I logically understood that, yeah, people get married again or meet other people, it's not how I felt. So that was the first kind of result for me, was actually getting right with that. And I'd done therapy and things to get past some of the most painful stuff, but never quite gotten right with it. I don't know a better way to say it. Once I started digging into this material, it let me approach this whole part of life kind of like, I want to say, without taking it too personally. Like, it let me look at it like it's not the end of the world if somebody doesn't like me or I come across weird or something. Like, it's fine. I can approach this just like learn how to play a new musical instrument, or, I mean, in my case, picking up a musical instrument I hadn't played in a long time, right? And not have to take it too personal. And frankly, I feel like at some level, just being happy with me was one of the main things I wanted from all this. I guess when you talk about fundamentals, like, a lot of that for me was like looking in the mirror and liking what I saw. So it was like, let me go get some new clothes, a new way of dressing. And then I took a step back and was like, why have I not been dressing like that for a while? And what occurred to me was because I haven't really given a shit. I'd kind of given up. So here it is. Like, now it's like I went out and got some new shirts and blazers that fit and pants that fit. Started going to the gym and working out. I had kind of given up on all that, and COVID didn't help. And all of a sudden, like, I decided I cared again and was like working out 5-6 days a week. Changed my diet, watching what I'm eating, getting new clothes, and watching my belt size shrink, feeling better just in my body, getting better sleep. Look in the mirror and starting to like what I see, and then that made it easier to be like, I'm going to walk up and talk to somebody, and if they don't like me or they don't want to talk to me, it's not like it's all my problem. Maybe it's their problem, or it's no big deal, because I know, like, I'm in action in my life. I'm doing something. The material gave me the confidence and kind of the kick in the pants to do that. So I'd say that's the first level of results. The second level of results for me was like actually getting positive interactions with women. I really got to stress that, at least in my case personally, like, there have been a couple years where I was uncomfortable with thought even talking to a woman, like, at all, just because of how my divorce stuff went. And I'd been like madly in love with my ex, and then the divorce was really painful for me. So this gave me a framework or a thing to kind of grab onto, to be like, okay, even if I feel a little bit awkward or uncomfortable, let me follow this structure. And it's simple and easy to be with, and not some gimmicky, like, hokey nonsense. It just feels really natural. And then, as a result of that, like, I can kind of find my way through a conversation, even while I don't feel like totally perfect at it yet, right? And as a result of that, I started to have some positive interactions. So, like, even the little things meant a lot to me. I remember being in a Target, of all places, and seeing this girl with a long ponytail, and she was really cute. And I saw her pass by me, and I was like, she's pushing her cart one way, I'm pushing it the other way. And I'm thinking in my head, no, I need to go talk to her. Like, that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing this day game thing. I need to go talk to her. So I do. I like literally stop. I just leave my cart. You're not supposed to leave your cart, right? I just leave it, turn around, go around the corner, and follow after her. I don't remember exactly what I said because I was a little nervous, right? It's like probably one of the first women I tried talking to since, like, messing with this stuff. But I remember her saying, "Excuse me." She was like looking at her cell phone, and so she looks up. I'm just like, God. I said, I know we're in the middle of a Target and this is kind of random, but I really like your hair. It looks really good. And she just starts smiling and her body language changes. Like all of a sudden she's not just leaning over her cart. She kind of leans back, like one foot slightly out to the side. And she's, like grabs her ponytail. She's like, thanks, blah, blah, blah. And then like, I was I don't know. I was so nervous still from the whole thing that like, I don't even remember exactly what she said. I'm sure I blushed, but she clearly enjoyed that too. And we probably talked for maybe 30 seconds. I didn't ask her for a phone number. I like forgot to, you know what I mean? But still, the fact that I walked up and talked to this girl and it's something I had not done in years, right? And she liked it. Like it was a gift for her. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't weird. So that was like, it was like this awakening, right? Like, oh, I actually can do this. Like I'm not out of the game, right? And that was like the beginning of really digging into it. So then I approached more women, right, over the next several weeks, and then I started to notice, I guess, you were calling it approach invitations. I started to notice little things, right? I'm in the grocery store looking at some vegetables, and there's this woman maybe 5 feet away from me, and I look over and I notice her. I was like, maybe I should say something to her. And then, she like moves on somewhere else, and I go do my shopping, and then surprise, surprise, she happens to be in the same aisle as me again, a few feet away. And then I make some sort of comment. I just cracked a joke. I don't remember, like she was looking at something, and I think I was like, yeah, they never have exactly the ones we want, right? They always have everything but what we're looking for. She's like, yeah. She's like laughing along. But I still I wasn't like ready to go. I still kind of was like feeling a little shy about it. And then I'm in line doing the self-checkout, and this girl goes up to the self-checkout right opposite me. Like, so she's facing me. I'm like, okay, if I don't say something to her now, like I'm basically, just being an asshat because she's at this point basically following me. So then I start talking to her, right? And it wasn't any kind of dramatic open, like we'd already talked or joked once or twice, right? So, I might not have noticed that before all this. Maybe for someone listening to this, it seems silly, like it's so obvious. But for me in the moment, I don't know, it was just I was nervous or whatever. Like it didn't seem as obvious until I thought about it later. Like, oh, she put herself in front of me 3 times. Like she was wanting me to talk to her, right? She could have gotten in any of the other checkout lines, right? So I'd had interactions where it hadn't gone quite that good, but still I felt like all right with myself because I'd had positive interactions. So I knew like at least some of the women I talked to were really interested, or at least, interested enough to like say thank you, even if they weren't available. I remember this one woman who was like, she's like, listen, I'm married, but thank you so much. And then she like hung out with me for like 5-10 minutes. We're like walking together for a little bit, just talking about life, And then there's this girl I walked up to. She was sitting in the food court by herself, like on her phone, I don't know, TikTok or whatever they do these days, just chilling. She's wearing this like really sexy outfit. She had really sexy hair. And I just finished my meal, took my time, and then I walked over and like, talked to her. And, this is with like masks on and everything, right? COVID and all that stuff. And I was just like, you look gorgeous. I had to say something. She's like, thank you. You look really good too. I was like, thanks. And we talked for a minute or two, and I was like, can I sit down? She's like, yeah. So I sit down, take off my mask, and we just keep talking and talking. And she's like in college. She's way younger than me. I'm 44 right now, but like, it's just great. And I'm like, look, do you want to go for coffee? She's like, well, I can't right now. How about another time? I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And she's like telling me, she's like, she gets hit on all the time, right? She's like, I'm an Instagram star or whatever. I was like, I'm too old for that shit. I don't even have Instagram. I use Facebook. She's like, none of us use Facebook. We're like joking about the age gap stuff. And then we go out, and then again, and then now like, and then we go out a whole lot, and it's like, I guess we're together. You know what I mean? So I've got this like college girlfriend. It's like crazy cool. But yeah, honestly, I'm actually enjoying feeling bashful sharing this in the moment. My stuff with her is new. It's several weeks old, but it was like a really intense several weeks. We've just been on this, and now she's gone for the summer. Like she's like literally driving across the country because she's got family on the West Coast. But we're like texting back and forth and chatting and stuff and like sending cutesy things. And I'm just like, this is great. That's not the direction my life was going before I started doing this, right? Like, I don't like bars and clubs. I mean, I don't mind going with friends. I enjoy getting a beer with a buddy like anyone else. But I don't like going to that kind of environment to meet people. And this just was natural and like comfortable and honest. It's like I see this woman I want to talk to. I walked up and talked to her. And she's like, hell yeah. And, you know, because I think at some level she wanted to get met that way, not, you know, in the artifice of the bar, club, or dating app thing. You know, that's sort of seems to be like this. People do it because they have to, not because it's what they would really like. So one of the reasons that I particularly was interested in Hector and the Girls Chase, you know, brand, the Girls Chase products in general, is because I'd looked around online at a few different things in the community of people that are like doing this dating coaching stuff, whether it was the pickup artist community stuff or it was more mainstream and called dating coaching or whatever. And, you know, I'm someone who had exposure to that a long time ago. You know, I participated in that. We're talking like 2005, 2006, 2008, that period of time. Like, it was different back then. But I didn't want gimmicky bullshit. I wasn't interested in a lot of artifice and complicated tactics. I don't want to lie to girls, and I also wasn't interested in like super new age foo-foo kind of stuff that doesn't work for me. Like what I wanted was something that just felt natural and authentic. I guess in my mind, I could either spend a lot of time learning how to pretend to be cool, or I could spend a lot of time actually learning to be cool, right? So, something like that. So yeah, and when I looked at your guys' stuff, you know, that's I was like, okay, these guys get it, and they're not spouting a bunch of complicated stuff. It's simple. It's direct in a savvy kind of way. I have female friends that I'd like actually showed some of your guys' content to, some of whom used to like coach with me back in the day when I was messing with the pickup stuff myself. And they all thought it was like way more legit than the other stuff that we'd seen. So they gave me the thumbs up, right? You know, like, and for me, that's kind of a big deal, like female approved, you know? So yeah, that's why I decided to roll with your stuff. All right. So one of the things for me that like was kind of a big hang up is I felt really self-conscious about my age. You know, I'm like, I'm 44, you know, I'm not attracted to women in their 40s. Occasionally I meet someone in their 30s I'm attracted to, but it's pretty rare for me. Really, I'm attracted to, you know, much younger women. At a minimum, I feel like I want the freedom to be around, you know, women in their 20s or whatever, like without feeling weird about it. And at some level, I felt some shame about that. Like there's something wrong with it. You know, there's all social pressure, at least where I live or in our country, about dating within a certain age range. And the other thing was, you know, I'm not this college athlete or early 20-somethings guy with like a shredded athlete's body. You know, I got a dad bod. And even though I'm working out, I have some muscle and some strength. I still, you know, like I'm older. What I discovered out of working with Hector, you know, working with you guys, is that, you know, my preconceptions about what works for women were inaccurate. And that younger women sometimes really want an older guy experience, whether it's something that they just want for a little while or it's just kind of what works for them. For me, it was like a logical idea that I'd never really experienced until this. When I started approaching women, I pretty much only approached women that were much younger than me. And what I found was they were generally receptive. And in some cases, I got really clear that like the more attractive and confident they were, the more they were down with it. Like the women I approached that were cute, but not that confident, not that hot, were the ones who were the most weirded out about an older guy talking to them. And the ones that were like crazy hot, like just push my buttons to where I get nervous. And I could tell like the other guys in the room all saw them too. And it'd be weird to them if guys didn't look at them. Those women were all about it. Like I walk up and talk to them and they were the ones who, even if they weren't interested or available, they still wanted to see almost like how I would come at them. They were like, oh, wow, this older guy's talking to me and he's interesting. And they'd sit down and talk to me for a while. They're like, just, you know, so it's like, it's weird. It's almost like being the older guy, like is like, I have to be cool with talking to much more attractive, confident women, which is just fine. You know, now I'm thrilled about that. I would call that a win for me. And also just like, you know, hope for anybody else that's like interested in dating way younger girls. Like, yeah, it's totally doable. They just got to be hot enough and confident enough to be comfortable with it. You know, good news, right?
Like, can you approach hot girls in public? Like, that's such a fundamental question that I answer in the product, but you brought up and you talked about how the hottest girls were the most receptive.
Yeah, I actually had, as we discussed, I did worse approaching less attractive women. I did best approaching the most attractive women because they had the confidence to take it. Also, like you told me at the time, is because I really was attracted to them enough and they can tell. And I feel that's definitely part of it. But that other side to it, of them having the confidence to handle it, that's huge, dude. And the more I've thought about it since then, the more it's really dawned on me, like, I think that's at least as important as them really believing I was into. I mean, maybe they're not separable. I don't know. I kind of feel like even if I really meant it, if the girl was like not confident enough to handle it, it wouldn't go well, right? And it's so rare. Like they never get approached in the middle of the day like that. That's the shit out of the romance novels and the movies. It's what they want. How do you meet hotter women than you could ever find on Tinder or in bars and clubs and have an even better dating experience with them than you could if you had met them that way in the first place? If I had met this girl at a bar or a club, with the age gap, even if we hooked up, she would have gotten way more shit when she told her friends how much older than her I was than the way that we met. Because then they were like, oh, well, you know what? On one hand, he's way older than you, but on the other hand, maybe that's why he was able to walk up and say something to you. And that's why he takes you out and treats you well and this, that, and the other. You know, and it's just like a breath of fresh air for her, right? And so her friends and whatnot who might have been hung up or given her negative social pressure on the age thing, instead, they accepted it and turned around and they're a fan of us being together. They're like, yeah, I mean, shit, maybe you should go fly out and see him during the summer. You know what I mean? Even, you know, and all that stuff. It's like, how did that happen? Because of the way I met her. Like, day game is just better. It's a higher quality meeting. Honestly, knowing what I know now, even if I go out to a bar and club and meet somebody, I feel like I'd almost have to, like, go out on more dates with them to see if I like them as much, because I met their going bar and clubbing persona. Whereas when you walk up to somebody, not forget about how much the girl likes that being approached by me that way, I get a real good picture of her. Can she handle me being direct with her like that? And who's she going to be sober, right? Like in the middle of the daytime, without all her war paint on. You know what I mean? She's dressed up and looks nice for going out to the mall or something, or the park. Not like over the top club mode. It's more authentic, you know? Hotter, more confident women than they could ever get in bars and clubs most of the time. Hotter, higher quality women than they ever get on Tinder most of the time. Why not meet her where there's no one else doing it? Yeah, no, day game is the best, man. It's best for the men and the women. And I was like, fine, I'm going to go to the mall. I need some shoes and a new pair of slacks. While I'm there, I'm going to talk to some women. I need to go get groceries later today. One of the things I'm going to do, so I'm going to go to the salsa class. I'm going to hang out there and dance for a little while afterwards. And after that, I'm going to go shopping. And while I'm at the grocery store, I'll probably talk to some women that are there. You know what I mean? Why not? Like, you know, I'm doing what I would do in my normal life anyway, and I can still meet women. And, you know, I don't live in a part of town where all the women are ugly or something. So, like, some of the women that I are going to be grocery shopping where I shop are going to be gorgeous. You know, I mean, shit, go to a Whole Foods. You're going to meet, like, a disproportionately high percentage of women that are good looking at Whole Foods, or at least in really good shape. You know, that's the other appeal to me about day game is, like, it's honest because it's, like, you don't even have to go out of your way to do this artificial thing of meeting people. Like you can go do stuff you actually like to do and meet people. Like go to the mall and buy shit you were going to buy anyway. Go get a fucking smoothie or ice cream, walk around, talk to someone. Then, you know, go buy a pair of shoes or a belt you need. And then, like, I'm going to get my groceries or, like, whatever. Go pick up my, well, maybe not the dry clean. But you know what I mean? It's like that. It's like the world becomes my club, right? Like the whole world.